Hello and welcome to another episode of Susfaction.
Yes, today is a Nacella-centric episode, and I'm Kyle,
And I'm Isella,
and
we're your hosts.
hosts.
So today is a historic profile, which we haven't done one for a little while.
Right.
It is about a pirate, which we had promised we would do a couple pirates for you guys since it's summer and cruising season, I guess, for some people.
Yeah, and I've been playing some Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which is piratey,
Yeah,
so that's been fun.
and I love pirates. So, I love pirates so much that I almost thought about joining the Navy myself.
I wanted to join the Coast Guard.
Okay. All right. So today I'm talking about Cheng Sao. She is the most powerful pirate queen in history.
Pirate Queen.
Born Shekyang in the late 1700s, 1775 to be exact, on what would become the China coast. So it wasn't known as China at the time. She was born to her mother and father, and her father was a fisherman. At age 7, her mother gives birth prematurely to a boy, and within hours, both her mother and brother would be lost. She was raised mostly by her father, who taught her fishing skills. So he taught her knots and sailing and how to clean a fish and all of those types of things, because he wanted a boy.
Of course.
Yes. He called her Dai Day. Yep.
Okay.
Dai
What's that mean?
Day is a nickname that many of the water folk gave their daughters. Its literal meaning is bring a younger brother.
Oh, that's so mean.
It is mean, yes. And that's what he called her. He called her Dai Day. He started drinking after the loss of his wife and son and gambling. And eventually his drinking and gambling got out of hand and he sold his boat.
Oh no.
Then he continued drinking and gambling. So then he sold her.
Oh.
He sold her to a floating brothel. The locals called these floating brothels flower boats. You can probably guess why.
Yeah.
She worked on the flower boat until she was 13. So she was very young when this happened to her.
That's awful.
Yes. And then she was informed that her father's debt was paid and that she was free to go. But she was welcome to stay. They tried to convince her to stay by telling her that if she stayed, she could manage her own flower boat. So she would basically become the madam at 13. So how young are these girls? Which is
Yeah.
just sounds gross. She chose to go and look for her father. But when she didn't find him, because all she found was their old home in ruins and he was nowhere to be found, she did end up going back to the flower boats. Until about age 26, which is where the book begins. So the book begins with a pirate raid on her town. She saves a little girl because they see the pirates coming, and the little girl, they call her a little clam girl because she sells the clams. Okay, so she walks around with her little bag and her little cart, and she sells clams, and the pirates are coming, on all their little, they're called sampans, but they're like the smaller boats that you ride out to the big boat.
Right.
And so they're coming, and she grabs the little girl's hand while everyone in the village is running. They're all running towards this church, I guess, that has these giant, temple, that has these giant metal doors, I guess, that they can close and lock. And so they're running towards everyone's running the same direction, where when they get there, the monks are trying to close the doors, and they're screaming, women and children only, women and children only. And she's like, oh, well, that's exactly what I am. I'm a woman with a child. And they're like, not you, because you're a whore. So she squeezes the little girl in, and the door's shut, trapping her sleeve in the door. So she can't go anywhere else.
Can't move.
She's stuck there. And so she's pulling on her sleeve, trying to get out. And eventually she does free her sleeve, but with a tear. And as she runs off from there, while she's stuck, actually, there are people running other directions, and there's already pirates doing what pirates do, pillaging. And she knew what would happen to her because she had already lived that life.
Yeah.
And she finds a hiding place on the roof of a home. Well, the homeowner doesn't like her being up there because she's a whore, because of what she is, because of her being a flower boat girl. So the owner to the roof is trying to pull her down. He has her foot. I can't remember if it's the foot or the end of her trousers, but he has her leg, and she can't get free, and he's trying to pull her off the roof. And she's like, let me go, let me go. And he's like, you're going to get me seen. And she's like, as I'm reading this, I'm like, you're going to get him seen. She was quiet. Now she's not. Like, you're going to get you guys both caught.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what will you do for me if I let you in? Because of who she is, or what she, the life she's lived.
Yeah.
And so a fight ensues. She's fighting this guy, and she throws him off the roof. And in doing so, she also knocks roof tiles down and is discovered. So she's rounded up with a bunch of women from this little town of hers and this little water town that she lives in. So she's rounded up, a bunch of women are rounded up, and they go and they're taken back to the ship. She witnesses the pirates pull another woman aside, and they ask her, who's your husband? And the woman tries not to speak and tell them anything, but they slap her around, what have you, and she does end up telling them who her husband is. And they're like, good, we need to know who to send the ransom to. So what they're doing is they're ransoming these women to their families.
Oh.
Finally, they pull her aside, and she has no family.
Right, you're not going to get anything from me, buddy.
That's exactly what she says. She's like, you're not going to get anything from me. I have no family. And she's like, but I can pay you. I'll pay you $200 to let me go. And a fight ensues between her and the captain. They took her into the captain's quarters. And so she's fighting with the captain, like a literal physical fight with the captain.
This girl is badass.
And another sailor comes in, another pirate comes in and grabs both her arms and holds them behind her back. And I think she spits in his face. And then the captain tells him to let her go. He said, let her go, take her somewhere else, to another room, another cabin or what have you. I'm going to take a wife. That's what he tells them.
Right.
So he's like, I'm going to keep you. He's like, I will keep you because you're tough. He likes her spirit.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
That's awesome. It's crazy, but it's cool.
Yes. So, of course, she's exhausted after all of this and falls asleep. And the next morning, she wakes up to an old woman who was trying to teach her how to be a wife and how to sew. And she's like giving her food and she's feeding her and everything. And she learns that the captain has also made a wife before out of a young boy pirate that's on his ship. She's kind of jealous of this boy. This boy is maybe 9 years younger than her. So just keep that in mind, because this boy comes up a lot throughout her story.
I love that there's a queer essence to the story.
So she learns, okay, I already said that. She learns that the captain already had a young boy as his wife. but she wanted to learn more about artillery instead of being a wife.
Totally.
So she spends time with a man she calls Hawkman, and it's not romantic at all. He's very annoyed by her presence, but teaches her everything about guns and cannons and artillery, and like apparently that urine cleans the cannonballs the best because it's acidic and it takes the rust off.
Wow.
So, it's more difficult for her to do than it is for men to do.
Right.
But she learns a lot about artillery, and that ends up becoming useful in a battle. So there was another battle that happened on the ship, and in that battle she held her own and she impressed the captain. So much so that she saved his life. He told her that she could have whatever she wanted. What she wanted was a wedding.
Oh.
She wanted to make it official.
Right. Facebook official.
So he takes her to this island that they call like a middle ground or what have you, a haven for bandits and
Right.
whores. Like it's a place where nobody judges anybody.
Mind you, we say like things like bandit and whore very like lovingly. Because we could say prostitution, but then if we say prostitute, we're just gonna get told we're not being PC enough anyway.
Right.
So
Well, that's it's a quote actually from the book. When I say bandits and whores, that's what they say in the book about this island, is
right,
that it's a safe haven for people who
outcast.
society would not deem fit.
Right, it's like
Um,
Neverland.
yeah, so it's also like an in-between type space where it doesn't belong to any one country, so anyone
Oh,
can
that's cool.
come there, right? So they go there, and while she's there, she meets her sister-in-law, sort of. It's her soon-to-be husband's cousin's wife.
Oh, okay.
But she tells her she's going to play the role of mother-in-law. So she has to like approve of her before anything else can happen. She also has to lead her through all of the ceremonial leaving your old life behind things, including like a bachelorette type situation and all of that. So she has to do all of that with her before they can have the ceremony, and then she will also be a witness at the ceremony.
Sweet.
Okay, so her and her husband or the cousin will be the only two allowed at the wedding as the witnesses. The wedding will take place on the ship, but all of her old life behind, all of her leaving the old life behind, stuff happens on the island, and they have it's like this really cool ritual where she's in a veil, and she has to actually say like, I die to my old life, my old life is dead. And when she's told that she has to do this, she is grateful because that's what she was hoping for, because she doesn't want to be remembered as having been a flower boat girl,
Right.
having been sold by her father, having all of that horrible stuff that happened to her. She was ready to leave it behind
Yeah.
and start anew. And she gets close to her sister slash mother-in-law, cousins, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, whoever she is, but they start calling each other sister. 3 months into the marriage, and she's not getting pregnant. Apparently, that's what a wife is supposed to do. That's a wife's job. She confides in her sister-in-law that she's been using contraception because
She doesn't want to.
her whole life she was taught to avoid pregnancy because you can't be a pregnant whore.
Yeah.
So she was taught how to avoid getting pregnant.
That's wild.
And so she's been continuing that practice, not
telling anyone.
not telling anyone. And she confides that in her sister. Well,
Bad idea.
she goes back to the ship, and her husband, Cheng Yat, runs in to their cabin and reaches behind her pillow and pulls out a satchel. The satchel is full of different herbs that you would use to prevent pregnancy. So he knows about it. She immediately blames her sister, air quotes, because she didn't tell anybody else.
Yeah.
And he beats her and he rapes her. And during all of this, it was this massive fight. So he's like fighting with her, he's restraining her, he's assaulting her, and she like once he's finished, whatever, she gets up and she grabs what's left of the contraceptive that's on the floor, wipes it up, uses it, puts it in her mouth, and looks at him and then licks her lips. She's like, I'm still not getting pregnant. So she uses the contraceptive in front of him, directly following his attack.
Wow. I love this girl.
She's very spunky. He tells her to consider the young pirate boy as her son now, because he has adopted him. So his previous male wife
Yeah.
is now his son, because he needs an heir and she's not giving him one. So he adopted the boy, Po Sai. That's his name. He adopted the boy Po Sai. Then she confronts Cheng Chat's wife, that's the cousin, and she denies it. She denies that she said anything. She's like, but there are people around us all the time, because they are the wives of these two very powerful pirates and captains, and that there are always people around. And she's like, I didn't say anything. It wasn't me. But she's very, very angry with her, and she believes that it's her. Okay. When they come back, because she always talks to the sister on the island. They're never, at least right now, they're not on the same boat at the same time, because
Yeah.
their husbands are captains of their own ships.
Right.
Okay, so they come back to see that the ship is having maintenance done, and they have to go sleep on a different ship. I didn't write his name. She sleeps on a different ship with her husband, but she's having a hard time sleeping. So she gets up and she's walking around, and the other ship captain, his name, I can't remember the full name, but it's Quao, something like that. And he is a well-read man. He's very literate, and he tells her she reminds him of a poem, and he wants to take her to his library. And he does, and she looks at all the books and she's like, I can't read. This is like, she's like, I think it's cool that you're smart, but like, I can't read. But he's very much coming on to her. And after the short flirtation with the man who can read and has a library on his ship,
That's really cool.
she returns to her husband's ship to find that her husband's ship and brother-in-law's ship had been recruited to the enemy's army, and they were given the title of admiral.
Oh.
But they mostly worked as transportation for soldiers.
Oh.
Cheng Yat Sao, which is now Shek Yang's new name because she's married. She learned that only after crashing a military meeting, that the supreme commanding general of the enemy's army was a woman.
Wow.
Yes. And this changed the way that she thought about things once again. So, one thing that they continue to mention that her husband is not thrilled with is that she's very much trying to get into man's business. And that's what, she went into this military meeting uninvited. And he had somebody escort her back to the ship. But in doing so, she caught a glimpse of the general.
The female?
And she's a woman.
General?
And she's like, oh my gosh. She's obsessed. All of a sudden, she is obsessed.
Fangirl.
Yes, exactly. She's obsessed. And she starts begging her husband to set up a meeting between herself and the general. For what reason, she didn't know. But she just felt like she wanted to be in the presence of a woman with power.
I don't blame her.
Finally, the day came. She and the other wives were invited to a banquet where she and her had her chance to meet the general and the emperor, who she cared nothing about. During dinner, she just watched and waited for her chance, and when it came, she didn't know what to say. Her jaw dropped in the presence of the general, and after a few short moments that felt like forever of not saying anything, she just said, "Good evening," and left.
Oh.
But you can understand. I mean,
Yeah.
you're meeting someone you've idolized for, I mean, for her, it was like maybe a couple days, but still, she's like, I,
It's a
this
big
woman,
deal.
she's like, this woman has power. This doesn't happen in our world. Like,
Right. And that is like she's seeing herself
mhm.
being like represented.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And so of course she's gonna like definitely gravitate towards that.
yes, yes. And she, so then she took her leave, and while they were on the ships, just after everyone had made it back to the boats after this banquet, all of a sudden, the area is engulfed in smoke, and there's chaos on the ship, on the decks, and everyone's running for the guns, and everyone's doing this and everyone's doing that, and all of a sudden someone screams, "Fire boats!" There are boats on fire that have been launched near around where all the ships are,
Oh no.
and they're under attack. They're under attack. Which makes sense because, they were having military meetings. They were, there was a war happening, right? So they're under attack. And during the attack, she was wounded. She was, filling them cannons and shooting them, and she was part of it. She was in it. All of a sudden, it's like her feet came out from under her, and she said she felt like she was the river was above her, and the stars were beneath her.
Right.
She's like upside down. Okay, so 3 days later is when she woke up after being flipped upside down and the ground coming out from under her
Oh my gosh.
during this battle. And when she woke up, her husband was missing. But then she found out that he was out searching for survivors. So he wasn't wounded or anything, that she was been made aware of, and he was out searching for survivors after this attack with the fireboats. Cheng Chat's wife, however, was grieving the loss of 2 sons.
Oh.
So her 2 sons, her
Were
oldest
in the battle?
and her youngest, yes, because they were men already. They were lost in the battle.
That is so sad. I mean, this whole story is like a movie. Why is this not yet like a film?
It's not yet a film.
It needs to be a film production.
So the book I read was just the first book in the. There's a sequel coming out.
Oh my gosh.
So.
And this is real, right?
Yeah, real life. She had this very real life.
Right. Because we don't do fiction. I was gonna say, that's so crazy.
So she spent 40 days with Cheng Chat's wife, grieving and kind of trying to help her get through it, being abused by this grieving mother and kind of just taking it because she was grieving, and just rough time.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like hell.
She called it a 40-day long funeral. She said
Ugh.
it felt like living in a funeral for 40 days.
I mean, I totally understand that.
Yeah. After those 40 days, Cheng Yat returned with about 25 to 30 survivors, boats, and food. They had previously been starving for 40 days because their stuff was they were running out of stuff. His brother, it was his brother, Cheng Chat, yelled at Cheng Yat, the one that just returned, his cousin brother cousin, whatever you call it. He yells at him, "We aren't pirates anymore. Where did you get those things?" Angry at the obviously stolen boats and food. But Yat said that he couldn't let his people starve, and the villagers weren't feeding the soldiers. Cheng Sao, that's our heroine again, that's her name, whispered to her husband that he should take control, as his brother, cousin, Chat, doesn't seem to have what it takes. But he doesn't agree. He still wants Chat to be in charge. Now, the reason I keep saying brother cousin is because this is literally the dynamic. They have different fathers, but their fathers are brothers. They have the same mother. So they literally are brother cousins.
Yeah.
So that's why I keep saying it, because
That's so
it's
funny,
like that's
'cause
what they
it's
are.
true.
Yes, that's what they are. So, all right. Sorry, I wasn't trying to be funny or make them sound like hillbillies, but like
No,
that's
it's not funny. It's
their
totally
dynamic.
legit.
That's their dynamic. So, all right, they left then to head north because there hadn't been any word from the emperor as to what to do or where to go. They faced a storm on this journey, and when it ended, they spotted an island and went ashore to buy food and get supplies. While they were there on that island, they learned that the emperor had been captured and drawn and quartered by elephants.
What?
They tied. So I love your reaction, because she didn't fully understand what they were telling her because they didn't quite speak the same language. And so another very tall man came in to tell her, and he explained 1, 2, 3, 4 elephants pull. So 1, 2, 3, 4 elephants pull, drawn and quartered. So they used to do that in the medieval times with
Yeah.
horses. They would
Mhm.
do that. So they just used elephants instead, and they pulled him apart. They pulled apart the emperor.
Wow.
And of course, then she inquired about her favorite general. Right? Where's the general? The man said, "Head, elephant, smash." So he proceeds to take a melon, and then he stomps on it to show her, to illustrate what has happened to the general.
That's so insane.
Then the island says there is no more China here. The Chinese men must leave, and we are now called Vietnam. So that's where they were. They
Wow.
were,
Okay.
after the storm, they had landed in Vietnam, and China had lost the war. So the emperor is dead, and the general is dead, and they need to leave. They're being shouted out of the city, shouted off the island. Get out of here. Chinamen must leave. China no more. Vietnam, Vietnam,
Yeah,
Vietnam.
for sure.
All right. Cheng Sao and her husband, Cheng Yat, sorry.
Chang chat.
Cheng Chat is the other one. Cheng Yat left in a hurry and headed for an island that was considered to be neutral territory. Remember the neutral island that they were on before?
Mhm.
To re-up on their supplies, because they didn't get anything off of Vietnam. As they pulled around the corner, they were met with a burned village and shops, choking on smoke. So much smoke in the air that the soot covered their faces. When she wiped her face, her hand was black.
Oh.
And as they rounded the bend, they saw Chang Chat's head on a spike.
Oh.
So now his brother cousin is gone, and the wife is nowhere to be seen.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So she's missing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, part 2.
Pardon.
This is part 2. They are pirates again, as there's no more war, and they can't be admirals to a general that's gone and an emperor that's gone. They become pirates again. and she has this like bout of illness, and she cannot seem to shake it.
Oh
And the
no.
old woman is kind of poking fun at her, telling her that she's pregnant.
Oh.
She's like, "Oh, you're pregnant," because she's been throwing up a lot, and she's not someone. She's someone who's grown up on the water, so there's no way that she's like seasick,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
So she's like, "You're pregnant. You're pregnant." Um, and they send for a doctor, and the doctor comes, and as he's checking her out, he's poking at her, looking inside all her holes. You know what I mean? Just does it. And it's important that I describe it this way because of what happens later in the story. But so as he's about to look inside her womb to see if there's anything there, he pauses and he goes to tell her what he's about to do, like a good doctor should.
Right.
And the old woman is like, "Oh, she's used to it. Just go for it."
Oh.
Because of how she grew up and the fact that she was
Right.
previously a whore.
Oh my gosh.
And he was still gentle about the thing, and then he said, "You're pregnant. You are pregnant. And if you
Uh-oh.
give me a little bit longer, I can tell you if it's a boy or a girl." And she's like, "No, get out of here. I'm not pregnant." So she never found out. She didn't get to find out if it was boy or girl. 2 seconds after the doctor walks out of the room, Cheng Yat runs in, congratulatory, already smelling like wine. He's like, "Yay, we're pregnant!" And she's like, "I hate this thing inside of me." "What do you mean?"
Oh no.
Because she doesn't want to be pregnant. She never wanted to be pregnant. She doesn't know love. She lost her mother at age 7, and her father sold her.
Right.
And every encounter she had after that was paid for. It wasn't love. But even though they're on a ship, they follow tradition and they lock her away. They lock her in the below deck cabin to keep her clean. And she didn't want to go down there, but they convinced her. And when she went down there, it was the cleanest part of the ship. She was like, "This place is beautiful. It's immaculate." They had made up this cabin to be comfortable, and everything in it was clean. The cabin was clean. Everything was. She's like, "Why doesn't the rest of the ship look like this?"
Right.
And she was in there for a while until they had her move to shore because you can't be pregnant on the ship, I guess.
Oh.
So they moved her to shore, and she was living in like a little one-room house on the shore, and she very much is like poking at the baby and like doesn't want it and just doesn't want to be a mom. And he's aware of this whole situation that she doesn't want to be a mom, but here they are. They're doing it because that's just what's going on. And so she goes to a temple, and she asks the monk to read her a fortune. And I put a little fortune cookie in my notes to read her a fortune. And he says, "Out of chaos brings opportunity."
Ooh.
And then she goes, "I don't like that. I don't understand it. Give me another fortune." And he goes, "Ew, get out of here. You wet my floor."
Her water broke?
Her water broke. And she's in shock, and she's in labor. So she grabs her skirt and she pulls it like a like
Like
to
a
hold,
diaper?
yeah, like to hold her,
Yeah, to hold
to
her.
make sure the baby doesn't fall out.
Right.
And she's freaking out, and
From
then
the
she
back
passes
to the
out.
front. Yeah.
She passes out. And when she wakes up, the nurse has the baby already, so she doesn't remember the baby leaving her body. She doesn't remember any of that, which I guess is fine because like labor sucks.
I don't know. I couldn't imagine.
So I mean, if you don't have to remember the labor, that's great. She wakes up, and they don't wash the baby, and she's not allowed to wash for a whole month. They have this tradition, and so they lock her away again for the next month. That's what they do.
What?
That's what they did. That was tradition, and if they didn't follow tradition, something bad might happen.
Oh,
So they had to
my
do it,
gosh.
right?
Yeah.
So they bring her back aboard, and she has the baby, and she's not allowed to wash, and her head is itching, and it's just itching, and she just can't take it. 6 days in, when they go to bring water for her to drink and her breakfast, she grabs the pitcher and pours it over her head because she's so itchy because she can't wash. And she's got afterbirth
She can't
everywhere.
even go swimming?
Nope. Mm-mm. So, okay, she's clean. And after that month was over, then they do a naming ritual where they name the baby. So they don't name the baby prior to this month. They have to make sure it's gonna stay alive, basically,
Right.
before they give it a name. So,
They're afraid of SIDS.
yeah, any sort of anything. I mean, they live on a ship, so
Oh, yeah. I guess, like, anything could happen to
right,
an infant on a ship.
yeah. So after a month, they perform the naming ritual, and um, a new sort of military action starts to occur, and they have a blockade of 34 ships. Cheng Yat has acquired more ships, so his fleet now is 34 ships. And Cheng Sao tries yet again to convince Cheng Yat to step up and command all the ships, including his brother's ships, because his brother cousin is no longer around. So she wants him to expand his fleet and be in charge of more ships. She wants him to, better himself.
Right.
And he
Grow.
seems to listen to her this time, only to use her to entertain the captain's wives with the baby. So he drops her off on an island with the baby and the wives of the other captains that he's trying to convince to join the, blockade, the armada. They're supposed to do this. They're doing some military action. It doesn't it doesn't continue for them, so I don't really know what they were trying to accomplish with the blockade. But so she's entertaining, the other wives with a baby, and in conversations they're all like talking about, I don't know, they're talking about different things that really she doesn't find to be interesting. They're talking about
Right.
perfumes and soaps and
Stuff that's just not up her,
yeah,
like,
she
not
just
up her
doesn't
alley.
care. So when she's back on the ship, she decides to learn how to use an abacus. Now, this story is pretty interesting because she invites the purser, that's the person in charge of the finances, like the accountant for the ship,
Yeah.
right? So she invites the purser to come and show her how to use an abacus
What's
because,
an abacus?
oh, it's like an ancient calculator with beads.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So he brings the abacus and he's trying to show her how to use it. And she says, also bring the books when you bring the abacus. And um, during this encounter, he teaches her how to read an abacus, how to use an abacus, and then she's like, let's do a problem, like a math problem. And he's like, I gotta go somewhere. And she's like, no, just grab a couple of figures from the ledger and show me how it works out. And in doing this, she exposes to Cheng Yat that the purser's been cheating him on his sugar. When he stole sugar and sold it, there was like 200 whatever that didn't add up. I don't
Oh,
know if it
wow.
was like 200 units of the sugar or like money wise, if I don't know, but it was off by 200.
Oh, God.
And so he asks, well, how did you know that he was cheating me? And she says, how didn't you know?
Right. Like, how do you not know that?
Yeah. So, um, oh, so then they have a serious talk. I'm going to bring up a quote from the text. Hang on. Oops. No, that's not. It's on 254. Sorry, it's on 245 actually. All right, it says he shoved me onto my back and I sprang up. So this was during their. Hang on, maybe it wasn't this one. No, it is. All right, so then they have a serious talk. I'm going to read the quoted text. He shoved me onto my back. I sprang up and knocked him over, pinned down his shoulders with both hands, and pressed my knee into his groin. I am sick of this life. Sick. Finished with it. This life is dead. I ground my knee into him until he winced. You have a choice. You can throw me out, and I'll make sure your son comes with me. Or you're going to make me your partner, and we make ourselves rich. And then she says, I poured out all the things I'd been forming in my mind these past months. So when she was like living alone for a while. The training we'd need, the equipment, the inventories and planning, the targeting of spoils, and finally, the alliances that would be necessary with other pirate gangs. I've thought some of the same things, he said. And what have you done about it? Your cousin, Chat, was a leader. What about you? Sometimes I think you're afraid to lead. You're the head of the Cheng clan now. I know, he says. You should be the most notorious, feared ruler of the two Quang coast. So feared that that men will come to you and offer their tribute without you lifting a hand, and be the wealthiest. So she tells him, "You could be great. You could be known, right? Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
Make me your partner." So, building the fleet. They continue to add to the fleet. And he calls it man's business still, that she's involved in man's business. So what their agreement is that she will never outwardly in front of anyone else be an active partner, but they will always discuss the business in the bedroom. Well, that becomes unfortunate because then they also lose their intimacy throughout this partnership. She even says, like, I became his partner in the business, but like they were no longer like romantically involved. Other men, though, had noticed that she was very intelligent, and many of them called her smarter than for her own good. But through all of this building the fleet, they were allies already, friends that they had. And instead of building just the fleet, they end up building what is called the Confederation of Colored Flags. Because his flag is red, another one's black, then they have a green one, son of a frog is green. They have a yellow one, and then there's a white one with a red something on it. So they have these colorful flags. But what they talk about is that in this, Cheng Sai, remember the boy,
mm-hmm.
now a man. He's now a man. He they refer to him as Cheng Yat's catamite, which is a boy that's been taken to serve the fantasies of an older man, what have you, at at a young age. So that's what they still refer to him as when they're trying to like discredit him.
Yeah.
He gets his own ship. So now, because he's a son, right? He's his adopted son now.
Yeah.
So he gets his own ship, and that helps him grow his fleet further. So what you have now is this Confederation of Colored Flags, and what they're developing is a system of protection passes granting ships total immunity from plunder. Income from these passes is divided among the fleets. So what they learned prior to developing the Confederation was that there were some vendors or what have you, shop owners, merchants that wanted to protect themselves. So they were going to buy a fleet and use that fleet to protect themselves from the pirates because they were tired of being plundered and then continuing their journey and then someone coming and plundering them again, and they just didn't have anything left, and they were exhausted. So they were going to start their own fleet as kind of like protection for the merchants. And since they learned this, they were going to use that information to their advantage, and they were going to provide passes. And the way that the passes work is if someone in the Confederation plundered a ship, they would then give them this pass, this piece of paper that says they can continue their journey, and nobody else in the Confederation will plunder the ship.
Oh.
So they would only have to worry about being plundered once. And it would create this sort of like, I don't know, it seems more like taxi, but it's very, I don't know, it was beneficial for both the pirates and the merchant ships. So they created this pirate pact, and I'm going to read the pirate pact.
Okay.
It says, we 7 signatories to this pact, so that's how many captains, 7 of them. Cheng Yat, Mak Yao Kam, known as Wu Shek Yi, Ing Ching Ching, known as Tungoi Bat, Lei Sheng Ching, called Son of a Frog, Chang Lao Tong, Kwok Padai, and Luang Bo have discussed among ourselves and agreed to these rules. If laws are not severe and evil modes never abolished, then commercial trade cannot occur. Today, we have fulfilled the grand achievement of joining forces and setting out this pact. Since we are of a single will, it does not matter whether each fleet's strength is great or small, or the abilities of its men the same. We must exhibit compassion and not cling to petty enmities, enemies, basically, enmities. Thus, these documents shall be distributed to every flagship, and each regulation impartially enforced. Number 1. We have agreed that our seagoing vessels, large and small, will be arranged in 7 branches named Heaven, Earth, Black, Yellow, Universe, Cosmos, and Vast. Each vessel must record its commander's nickname in a register. Each must inscribe its branch name and registration number on the bow and must fly its branch's banner on the foremast. Each branch has its own banner. As soon as it is discovered that any ship falsely displays another branch's flag or color, the junk, that's the ship, and its weapons become the property of the whole group. The commander who has intentionally deceived the Confederation will have his fate decided by the group. Number 3. If a boat hinders a vessel holding one of our safe conduct passes and damages it, sells its cargo, or robs it of money and clothes, the value of the plunder must be estimated and the victim reimbursed. The offending vessel's weapons and anchors will be confiscated, and the commander will suffer punishment commensurate with the case. If the offending vessel cannot pay the compensation, then the amount will be deducted from its branch's future shares. Number 4. When attacking a merchant ship not possessing a pass, its entire captured cargo belongs to the junk which strikes first. If another seizes it by force from the original captor, he must compensate the initial captor with a sum double the original worth. Those who disobey will suffer attack from the entire group. Number 5.
Wow.
Yeah. Number 5. No matter which branch's boats wrongly detain a junk with a pass, those who witness the action and apprehend the offender will be rewarded with 100 silver dollars. If any of our brothers is wounded in action, the entire group will be responsible for his medical care. Furthermore, the group will demand of the culprit to pay him a reward. Those who are present at such an event but sit on the side and take no action will be punished as accomplices. Number 6. If any vessel sail without permission into seas and harbors to rob, irrespective of any documents or currency in their possession, they and their accompanying boats will be seized and burned, their weapons confiscated, and their commanders executed.
Oh my.
Number 7. If any merchants on land or sea have been the enemies of any one of us, and neither hide nor disguise themselves, and are bold enough to openly do business, we must restrain our personal anger, though we may be displeased. We cannot use our power as a pretext to seize or harm them, or to kidnap their kin on the grounds that they are our enemies. Any violation will be treated as a crime of false implication. And number 8, if a flagship has a matter to discuss with another flagship or the whole group, it should hoist a flag on its main mast, and the bosses of each branch should come confer If a branch commander has an order to transmit to his own boats, he should hoist the flag on the third mast, upon which all junks must assemble and hear the orders. Any who do not assemble will be held in contempt and punished accordingly. By the order of our Dai Loban, this pact shall be copied to each flagship so that it can be respectfully obeyed. That's what they agreed on.
Well, if they agree on it.
Yeah, I think it's great to have like all of that laid out. Before things get really started. Like, this is what we're doing. This is what we believe in. And if you mess up here, this is what's going to happen. If you
Yeah.
mess up here, this is what's going to happen. And I think it's great. And you got to remember that all of this is because of her.
Yeah.
She's silently working in the background, but it's because of her. All right. Cheng Sao, remember, she did not like Po Sai when she first met him. That boy, she was like, I don't like him. There was a little bit of competitiveness there for the affection of the captain. She's actually sad to see him go on his own ship, see him go on his own way. All right, so new governor is, new governor, it's a governor general. So the new governor general makes an offer for pirates to turn themselves in, and they will pay money to those who bring in a head. So if they bring in a pirate's head, if someone brings in a pirate's head, they'll get money from the governor. And the purser is being suspicious again. So right now, the Confederation has competition from the governor. The governor wants pirates to quit being pirates. So I'll pay you to quit being a pirate, and you'll get a full pardon if you officially quit. There's also a bounty on the heads of pirates. So any person who's not a pirate can, turn in the head of a pirate and get paid. And so because of that, we already know the purser likes to steal money. He's acting suspicious again. He's considering leaving the Confederacy.
Oh, wow.
And
sorry about that ding. My computer likes to make noises.
So it's just, to take note of it. But again, Cheng Yak keeps the purser on, has not fired him, and Cheng Sao is still very much not liking the purser. All right. Now, she finds herself ill.
No.
And she blames the foreign captives that they have. So they recently they captured. There we go. Couldn't find the word. They captured a red-haired man, who they are all in awe of because his beard matches his head and his eyes are super blue, and he's a redhead, right?
Yeah.
He's a redhead and he's got blue eyes and he's a big burly man. I just imagine him looking like a lumberjack with a big beard.
Yeah. Brawny man or something.
Yeah. So they're all in awe of this foreign captive that they have. They think maybe from like England, right? And they also have a doctor that they captured. So they have, she's not feeling well, and she's blaming the fact that they have foreigners on her ship. She's like, they got me sick. They brought something with them, right? And they're like, well, we have a doctor, so let's bring the doctor and have him take a look at you. So he's checking her over, and then she goes, what is it? What do I have? And he goes, you're very healthy. You're very healthy. And the baby inside you is healthy too.
Oh no.
And she goes, what? They both, she has that old woman with her again. The nurse is with her again, and during this appointment, because it's a male doctor, and the captain doesn't want his, nobody touches my wife.
Right.
So they have to, for modesty reasons, she's in there with her, and she doesn't believe him. So he points to a dish and he says, "You pee." And
You pee.
You pee. And she and the nurse at the exact same time said, "What?" And they're thinking, well, he's foreign, maybe it translates differently in his language, like he can't possibly mean what we think he means, right?
Right.
And he points again and he says, "You pee." And she's like just so confused, and then he points at the dish again and he goes, and so I mean, there's no mistake this time. Okay,
No.
that's what he really wants me to do. All right. So he takes, when she's finished, he takes it and he mixes it with some wine. And the way that the wine interacts with it or whatever, I guess can tell him that she's pregnant. And so he does that, and he mixes the wine in and swirls it around. She goes, "Surely he's not going to drink it."
Oh no. Does he?
No, he looks at it for a second and then tosses it out the porthole. And he says, "You're pregnant." And she still doesn't want to quite believe that. But her I didn't notate this in here, but I remember it very well. When the husband comes in and she explains to him, Cheng Yat, she explains to him that she's pregnant. He's acting not displeased, but not overjoyed. And she doesn't like that. And so
Right.
she calls him out on it. "Why aren't you happy?" And he goes, "I'm afraid to be happy. You were so angry the last time." And I love that that's his response, because it's something a good husband would do. He's like, "I'm afraid to be happy because I don't know how you feel about this situation." Um and he says, "I'm afraid to be happy um because you hated being pregnant the last time." And she enjoyed that was his reaction, as much as I did, I guess. But um then he offers, what do you want? What can I get for you to celebrate? And she she's complaining about the ship. She shows him her feet, and I guess there's worms in her feet from the wood, and there's splinters and stuff. Like the ship is very old and showing its age.
Yeah.
And she says she wants a new ship. So he comes back the next morning with a new ship. A new ship, a warship. And to be remodeled. So they're remodeling it during her pregnancy. And she has another boy. I kind of skipped ahead here because there's there's not so much happening during this time. She has another boy. The same thing. She was locked in the hold for a while.
For a month.
For No, that was while she was pregnant, and then they had her
Oh.
on land again. Um,
I thought for a month afterwards.
and then for a month afterwards, she's actually brought back to the new ship. It's ready for her, and it is so nice. They've done all this remodeling. They've actually done like actual remodeling where they've taken things apart and put new things together on it, and it's very nicely done. And she's like, "Why wasn't, you know, um, she wants him to live on the ship with her." At this point, they have 340 ships as part of the Confederacy, and uh, they're on his old ship one night. I didn't put this in here. And they're on the ship, and it was after they had raided an opium merchant. So there's 3 large chests full of opium on the ship. And he feels like, and everybody else on the ship feels like, and most of the other surrounding ships are all starting to become into agreement that they've been cursed somehow, because there's no wind. The ship can't go anywhere. They're running out of food. It's just a very slow drift. They're not able to move. They're taking turns with the wind. They've got the ships spread out, so no one's using anybody else's wind, which it's silly, but I guess it made sense to them. And they're just in a drift, and all of a sudden they see this like green, they describe it as a green spot in the distance, which tells us a storm is coming.
Yeah.
It's not land, it's a storm. So they call it a typhoon, but the description sounds like a hurricane
Yeah.
when it finally hits them. And the water is swirling, and he's been pulled off the ship like in the wind, like it's crazy. And so she's like, we have to save the opium. So she goes down into the hold, and 2 of the 3 chests are flooded.
Ugh.
So it's no good. So but she's like, but we're sinking, so we still need to get rid of these. So she has them pulled out. They are hauled out after they haul it up, and the water drains, and then they throw it off the ship, just so that the ship's not sinking anymore. So take some of the weight off the ship. And they get to the 3rd one, and the 3rd one is still good. And with it being still good, it's dry, meaning it's not as heavy. But they pull it up just as they did the 2 heavy ones, right? And so they're pulling it up, and they pull it up too fast, and it slips. The wind takes it, and it flies, and it smashes Cheng Yat against the banister.
Oh no.
Um, and then it's over, and she wakes up on the new ship. She wakes up on the new ship to find out
Oh no.
Cheng Yat is gone. He's gone.
Where are her babies?
They're fine.
Okay.
She considers herself free, finally free. But she also recounts that he was a good husband, and maybe they didn't have passion, but they had a good
I think they
partnership, a
had
good
passion, but they didn't
relationship.
have compassion. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah,
they had passion, totally.
yeah.
But
But so we're at the funeral stage, and every week she says it's this is the 4th 7 days that has passed since whatever, right? And her first thing she does, her first order of business, she fires the purser. She says, "You are no longer needed here. Bye-bye."
right.
And he tries to argue, well, Cheng Yat really, you know, trusted me, and she's like, well, I don't. So, bye. So, she fires the purser, and the other captains in the Confederation offered to add her to their harems, or they proposed marriage, replacing their first wife and bumping the first wife to second wife, and she would become the first wife. But she turned them all down. She didn't want
Right.
anything to do with them, and it's only been 28 days since her husband passed. So,
Yeah.
but they all wanted control of the Confederation.
Yeah.
They wanted to be in charge.
Right. Sorry, not happening. We
And
already
she
got
holds
someone in
that,
charge.
because he didn't have. Her son asked, her 4-year-old son asked, "Am I the captain now?" And she goes, "Oh no, honey, not yet." you know. And so she turns them all down, and finally, after much deliberation and speeches, she was voted into the position of commander of the Confederation. So there was a lot that went on there. They all told their stories, they gave speeches. And her argument was the best, that she should continue to be the commander.
Yeah.
So she became commander of the Confederation
That's awesome.
as a woman in 1807. And she appointed Posai, her
Yeah.
adoptive son, as the commander of the Red Flag Fleet, which was her husband's, she said. And she finished by alluding that Posai would become her new husband. Well, he was only 9 years younger than her, and
Right.
they did canoodle the night before,
Oh.
the night before she made the announcement. So, but he also murdered a man who was trying to murder her.
Oh, right on.
So like
He saved her life.
there was a lot that went down, but he basically made it known to her that he was comfortable making that declaration, and so they would move on together.
Hell yeah.
I was saying, at her peak, she commanded a staggering force of up to 1,800 ships
Wow.
and 70 to 80,000 pirates, dwarfing many national navies of the time. She ran her fleet like an organized state, implementing such strict codes of conduct, which I read some of those before. Deserters were beheaded, and female captives were strictly protected by law, with rape resulting in death of the offender.
That's amazing.
The unprecedented retirement that she had was that the Chinese government, unable to defeat her in battle, offered her a full pardon and amnesty in 1810.
Hell yeah.
She retired to Guangdong, where she lived a peaceful, prosperous life running a gambling house
Of course.
until 1844, when she died at the age of 69.
For her.
So she had an amazing life.
Right, that's a long life for back then.
Yeah, from flower boat girl to pirate queen.
Yes. That's awesome. That was a long story.
It was a long story, I'm sorry.
But no, I loved it. I mean, we got an hour
Yeah.
of story. So y'all better be happy. So awesome. Well, I love that.
Yeah.
That was fun. Well done. Well,
Thanks for listening. And remember to join us next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode. And remember, trust no one.
question everything. If you want to reach us and send us your own stories or send us anything you want us to cover, campfire stories, dark history, conspiracy theories, UFOs, whatever, glitch in the matrix, you can reach us at suspectionpod@outlook.com. Again, if you want to send us your own stories or you want to send us recommendations for stories, you can reach us at suspectionpod@outlook.com. And we do have an Instagram.
Our Instagram is at suspectionpod, and you can find links in the bio to our podcast on Amazon Music, YouTube, and Spotify.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.